Preaching on the yeah.
Yeah. Bow. We are live, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the one and only Goal Line Goons live simulcasting on both Big Guy Fantasy Sports and the Rumboyz Fantasy Network. I'm your host, RumboyzRobbie, joined by my co-host, TDS Taco. Taco, what's going on, bro?
Ooh, we just surviving out here in these mean streets.
Exactly. We're all just out here trying to be human beings. Luckily for the chat tuning in tonight, they have you and I here to help restore balance. Okay. A lot of you might be. I named this episode this for a specific reason, because a lot of you might be like 2-2. This is a perfect title for, a 4-week type situation, regardless if you're, 1-3, 2-2, 3-1, 4-0. If you're 0-4, we are here to help you. We are here to make sure that we take care of you. We will be answering your questions throughout the show. But without further ado, really quick, make sure that you guys check us out on BigGuyFantasySports.com. You can check out all of our consistency tools and much, much more, rankings, so on and so forth. Excuse me. Want to go ahead and get right into it. Thank you all for joining. Make sure that you like, you comment, and you subscribe. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys. Let's get into the information. There were some injuries. The main injuries impacting a lot of fantasy football rosters are Anthony Richardson. It sounds like he is going to be okay, and he's going to be starting here in week 5. Christian Watson, are you really surprised? Christian Watson gets hurt every year. Christian Watson spends half of a season on IR. Okay, so that's to be expected. One that was not to be expected was Rashee Rice getting into a collision with his own quarterback and Patrick Mahomes, and then leaving the scene of the crime on the medical cart. Rashee Rice out of fantasy football lineups. Is sounding like out for the season. We do not have a official report at this given moment, but this is also coming from Andy Reid's mouth. And Andy Reid has been around a lot of football, and he's seen a lot of injuries up close and personal with his own 2 eyes. Jonathan Taylor, expecting to miss some time. We'll talk about how to navigate that here in the upcoming slides and in the upcoming moments. But Jonathan Taylor out. And Taysom Hill, Alvin Kamara owners are okay with this, but if you did have Taysom Hill, you were starting Taysom Hill, you're not exactly excited about Taysom Hill missing time whatsoever. Really quick, want to give a quick shout out to the chat. I had to start off the chat with the let's get it. Lise, what is good? What is good? We are cleaning the house, ready to ship off Devontae Adams. Topic coming up later. Albert, what is good? Yeah, Goons, says Aiden. Aiden says, Robbie's TikTok lives are wild. Catch me on TikTok live at the Rumboyz Fantasy Network every day, 4 p.m. It usually happens is between the block of like 4 to 5 Eastern. That's whenever you can catch me. Let's see here. Making up an injury, gotta love it. Devontae Adams. Like I said, it's going to be a topic later on. Coach like an Insta post saying they should trade him before he even requested the trade. That's hella petty. Don't worry, we're going to talk about it. Speaking of talking about it, there are bye weeks coming up. Bye weeks this week for week 5. Heading into week 5, Lions, Eagles, Titans, Chargers. This is impacting your rah. shares, your Jared Goff shares, your Gibbs and Monty shares. Many of you are still holding on to hope for Laporta. Laporta is substartable at this point. Eagles on a bye. This is a good bye for the Eagles because after the bye, you get back A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and the likes of that nature. Titans, that's mainly affecting Tony Pollard. Chargers, we don't really – not enough data to support whether or not you are or 100% are not starting J.K. Dobbins or not, but that's mainly what that affects. That leaves everyone from QJ to Justin Herbert and so on in the fourth, in the balance, if you will. You ready to talk about some bye weeks, Taco? Taco, how you feeling, bro?
I mean, to go back to the injuries thing, that's had me tripping because personally, Watson and Rice hit me. Watson hit me in a 14-team league, so it was kind of more like, he was a deeper player. I'm still dealing with some injuries, so that one kind of hurt. I ended up losing a close one. And then Rice going down psychologically devastated me because he was one of the anchors on one of my, or probably my home leagues, my main home league. So he's pivotal for me, especially since I drafted Garrett Wilson, who's been absolutely ass.
We're going to talk about all those situations because those situations, I find being trends that a lot of people are really worried about is throughout the week. What I've been noticing throughout our TikTok live that we had earlier today was, how do I navigate the Rashee Rice injury? How do I navigate the chemistry of Garrett Wilson? And then also, the news that came out today, which we will break here when we get into that segment. Let's get into the quarterbacks for waiver wire. Quarterbacks available that I want you guys to focus on. These numbers that I grabbed were as of last night off of Sleeper because I began writing the show sheet last night because I couldn't sleep and the Vince McMahon documentary was okay. I'm 6 episodes in, 6.5. I fell asleep in the middle of episode 6, but yeah. QBs, Justin Fields, 41% available, and I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I was impressed with what I saw out of Justin Fields, and it's looking like they are going to be starting him heading into week 5, and it's looking like that this is what they are rolling with. I mentioned last week about Justin Fields that Mike Tomlin has a tendency to roll with the hot hand. This is him rolling with the hot hand. Geno Smith, 43% rostered. Geno Smith, believe it or not, is top 10 QBs. He's QB 5. Yeah, 4 or 5. Depends on where you're looking at your league settings. But yeah, he's in that range. So you want to be grabbing Geno Smith. Andy Dalton, 18% rostered. We've seen the uptick. It's been going after 2 weeks. I'm convinced that Andy Dalton is serviceable in fantasy football. I don't want to necessarily use the word startable. In 2 QBs, startable, but he is serviceable if you're in a do or die situation. Let's see here. There's Trey Tucker time. We'll be talking about that when we get to our wide receivers here in a moment. I do want to touch on the running back situation. Kareem Hunt, 38. Taco's hilarious. Cheers to me. Cheers to you all the rum boys and girls. What it do? Dilly dilly. Yes, I'm having a cheap tall boy. It's Tuesday night. We're taking it easy, boys. Kareem Hunt, 38% available. Braylon Allen, 62%. I'm including Braylon Allen and Bucky Irving on here because I've been telling you guys for the last 2 weeks to go and get them. If you guys notice, after 4 weeks of episodes, I finally removed Sam Darnold off the QBs, even though he's sitting somewhere around 61% available. Some of these players should not have this type of availability. Braylon Allen, Bucky Irving, 62% available of piece, 61, 62, so on and so forth. You need to be rostering both of these guys. Both of these guys deserve at least a spot on your bench, and it's looking like even very solid flex plays week in and week out for both these gentlemen. I want to go back really quick, circle back to Kareem Hunt. You also need to be looking at Kareem Hunt. We told you guys We told you guys, specifically myself, about the whole Carson Steele experiment and so on and so forth, yada, yada, yada. So that's why I also have Kareem Hunt at the front of the list. Chase Brown. Chase Brown. You need to go and get him. The Zach Moss fall off always happens. And it looks like this year it's happening earlier than later.
Zach Moss didn't have a terrible game. I think it's going to be more of a timeshare.
He didn't have a terrible game, and you are correct that yes, it is going to go into a timeshare. It is going to become what it was in Indy for Zach Moss. It is going to become what it was even for Buffalo. Zach Moss is a timeshare bat. Excuse me. Trey Sermon, 4% rostered. Sermon, I'm only including Sermon here. I'm not necessarily saying that this is an order of which you should grab them, because if I were doing that, then Justice Hill would be here. Justice Hill would be here, the Rum Boy. Which, and really quick, just to touch on Justice Hill, still getting equal amount of snaps, producing, very viable, like a flex play. Had 22.8 fantasy points this last week in full PPR. Justice Hill should be in priority after, Hunt, Allen, Irvin, Brown, Hill. Want to now circle back to Trey Sermon. Trey Sermon, 4% available. Is Trey Sermon going to be the most efficient out of this bunch? No. But Indy doesn't run a committee, which is unfortunate to them because they probably could have prolonged the life of Jonathan Taylor. I'm going to leave that neither here or there. Trey Sermon is going to be getting those snaps that Taylor was getting. So I rest my case. Finally, Emmanuel Wilson of the Green Bay Packers. We keep bringing him up. I do feel like that this is a good handcuff buy now type of situation before, if anything were to ever happen, not speaking it into existence to the Rum Boy Josh Jacobs, then you at least already have Emmanuel Wilson, or you already have Emmanuel Wilson away from the Josh Jacobs manager. So that's where I get off in preaching Emmanuel Wilson. They're giving him the ball. He's getting carries. He's averaging about anywhere between 8 to 10 carries a game, okay? And he's actually doing decent work with that workload when we look at the film. Taco, any thoughts on the running backs?
I think when you look at Trey Sermon, with Taylor being out for a little bit, that's going to offer him just a volume upside that, it's for cheap stash, cheap money. Get him for a couple of weeks and go on him. Kareem Hunt, I think, much like what you said, he is looking like he might be emerging as a lead back. They did switch P. Ryan in on the goal line situation. He ended up getting a touchdown.
What up, Hollywood Titan?
Which makes it a little bit weird, but I mean, I think at the end of the day, I do agree with Kareem Hunt being probably the priority ad. Chase Brown, I think he's offering a lot of upside. I think it's going to be interesting to see how they mix the both. Chase Brown got the 2 touchdowns, but Zach Moss still got a touchdown, and he still got, solid work. But I mean, I think Chase Brown by the end of the year probably does push for the lead back in that job. I do agree with that.
I think, yeah. To that point, we'll touch on it a little bit more later on in the show, but I do 100% believe that Chase Brown is eventually going to steal that job. They brought Chase Brown in knowing that Mixon was either A, going to cost a shitload of money, or either B, have to move on somewhere else. And after some of the things that they dealt with Mixon and so on and so forth, I think that it was best for both parties, which we'll again, we're going to be having a full conversation about running backs later on in this show. Make sure you guys stay tuned here to the Goal Line Goons. I want to talk about wide receivers, my favorite position. You excited to talk about some wide receivers?
I mean, there's some interesting names that I've been snatching up, so.
Love it. Love it. Well, we start with Xavier Legette. I am putting Legette at the beginning of this list for a reason. Taco, my friend, we have worked together for the better half of what, 2.5 years now?
Mm-hmm.
2 years? Yeah, 2.5. I was high on Legette this offseason, wasn't I?
Oh yeah,
I have a nickname for Legette, right?
I know so.
Baby DK, ladies and gentlemen, is officially making his presence felt in the National Football League. I want to make sure that I put every single viewer checking out this show on notice about Xavier Legette. Legette. It's pronounced Legette, or it's pronounced Leggett. I'm sorry. All right. For Xavier Legette, 38% rostered, with Andy Dalton passing the rock, needs to be rostered. If you dropped him at the beginning of the season because you were losing faith, I did it. Not on every roster, but on a few rosters. But I did it. Now's your chance to go ahead and bounce back. Alan Lazard, 48%. Alan Lazard is remaining being on this list week in and week out because he is the favorite to Aaron Rodgers. Even if a trade situation were to happen with a player that we're going to talk about later on that would bring that player into the fold, Lazard is still the 2 in that situation. We've seen this in Green Bay. So Lazard is pretty much secure there. Wan'Dale Robinson, 46%. Wan'Dale Robinson has impressed me over the course of the last 2 weeks. It's looking like Daniel Jones is figuring out that, I cannot just pepper Malik. I have to figure out other weapons on this roster to where now even Wan'Dale Robinson and in deep formats, Darius Slayton could be relevant pieces. Dontavian Wicks, 18%. This comes as the injury to Christian Watson now becomes prevalent. We know what Dontavian Wicks can do. We know what Dontavian Wicks has done. I expect Dontavian Wicks to get the dropsies together and be out there and be active. Trey Tucker for the Raiders. Tucker becomes relevant, especially knowing that Devontae Adams is possibly about to leave town a lot sooner rather than later. Reports rapidly developing from multiple sources as to how quickly that situation is going to move. Mike Williams, 29% rostered. He's now getting peppered with more targets, understanding the playbook and the language of the Hackett offense. I look for him to possibly be utilized as a 2 to a 3, a low 2 to a 3 in that offense in real life, which means you can probably grab him and secure some targets there. And Tutu Atwell continues. Last 2 games, 4 for 4 receptions, 87 yards. Has the touchdowns necessarily materialized? No. And are you maybe going to get that with a guy like Tutu Atwell? Necessarily not yet. But with that being said and with that being stated, those are sufficient enough fantasy football points to where if you need a guy, you need someone that you can stash. And if everyone else goes and grabs all these other guys that I mentioned off of waivers, Tutu Atwell is worth the look and worth the roster spot. All right. A lot of you guys that may be 4-0 may not be able to get some of these other players that I just mentioned, or may not be high on some of these other players I just mentioned. Well, when you go back, you take a look at the film, you take a look at the stats, Tutu Atwell is still getting those looks, at least until Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp come back into the fold for those wide receivers. All right. Yep, I understand. Taco's taking care of children things. Andre, I do agree. Chase Brown is going to steal that job. Ravens leading receiver, Justice Hill, when we were talking about those running backs earlier. Ranch boy, Xavier Legette. He talks a little bit like this, got a little bit of Boomhauser up in him, but you know what? I love it and I appreciate it. And, he's quite a character whenever he has to do his press conferences. And I appreciate a little Xavier Legette. And, shout out to South Carolina and everything that they got going on. And then also shout out to North Carolina where he playing right now, right up the road from where he grew up now. So yeah. Trey Tucker is wide receiver 1. It seems like that they are about to treat him that way, as Karam simultaneously asks, who the fuck is Trey Tucker? And then leaves roasting him, calling him a casual. Trey Tucker is probably going to be a focal point of that Raiders receiving room going forward, without Devontae Adams. And I feel like we kind of saw that last week with the way that he was utilized. That's an ugly guy. I don't even know. Oh my gosh. Oh my. Hey, listen, I'm letting you know Trey Tucker is putting folks on notice. Taco, how do you feel about these receivers?
I fucking love Trey Tucker. I actually added him late on Sunday, because it was interesting to see what he had done. He had a couple of targets, but he made a couple of big plays. I love that he had that little run action, which was very nice. He got a touchdown on it with the Adams news. I mean, it sets him up for interesting volume going forward.
Yeah, 100% agree. I mean, obviously Brock Bowers is still going to get his, but a tight end as a wide receiver 1 doesn't doesn't really seem fruitful. Speaking of tight ends, K. Dotton 18% availability, Tucker Kraft 8%, Juwan Johnson 5%. Each one of these are very interesting because of how often they're on the field. Okay. And I have different opinions of each one. K. Dot and Juwan Johnson, all right. You're relying on the boomer bust. You're relying on them being open on routes. And sometimes, even if they are open, the talent that's around them is so damn superior that it's very difficult for them to I guess, how do you say, be relevant week in and week out and be trustworthy week in and week out. Excuse me. With Tucker Kraft, don't let the 8% fool you. If he's available, I feel like that I'm digging that and I'm feeling that and I want that. Luke Musgrave, I think, has been outworked of that position. The Luke Musgrave hype was last year. And they've kind of simultaneously have forgotten about him in place of Tucker Kraft. So that's my breakdown of the tight ends.
Yeah, I mean, I think just in general, the tight end this year is god awful.
Wasteland.
So it's even guys that you're like, maybe he's droppable. Sometimes he might not even be, just because it's so bad that if he even rebounds, like, you're like, fuck, what did I do? Because at the end of the day, talent will win out. This could be just like an anomaly. This could be just a blip. This could be a complete shift in the way that the game is being played and used. So, I mean, I don't really know how or what's going to transition with the tight end, but right now, Tucker Kraft seems like he's getting a lot of volumes and looks from Love. He's getting like catches, which makes him, to me, the most interesting and the guy that I kind of would want to pick up of this bunch. Just because if he becomes Jordan, like Jordan Love's one to like check down receivers, quick
Security
first down, quick catch. Next thing you know, he has 6 catches for 40 yards. Maybe he gets a touchdown there. From a tight end, you're looking at like something, really solid.
Yeah, like in K. Dotton's situation, he's the last read guy. In Juwan Johnson's situation, he's the boom, big play, type of guy because he can also, high point the ball, in contested catch situations. But then 2, he can also create separation like a wide receiver and go ahead and go get the deep ones. So very different. I think like to your point, I feel more secure in the Tucker Kraft situation. Let's see here with the chat. Bro, y'all blowing me. I ain't even putting up none of them comments. Bro. For real. Let's go ahead and let's get into the topics tonight. Okay. You saw the show sheet. All right. First off, give both of us a follow. Check us both out on social media. We're always here to help. We will take care of your fantasy football lineups, your fantasy football rosters, and your fantasy football questions, even your betting questions, even.
Facts.
Get into the topics of the night. I'm not just going to read it from the screen. I actually have to do this one justice. All right. Last week, we discussed whether or not JD5 was the steal of fantasy football drafts or not. And I think that question has been answered. All right. Both of us, we felt like, yes, he was heading into this week. That question got answered real fucking quick. Not even a full quarter into last week's game against Arizona. Media had went into a frenzy following that game against Arizona. You have Washington being on Stephen A's top, A list. You got Rich Eisen going on 12 fucking minute rants. Rich Eisen is a big brain NFL guy. The guy has been in, he does not go on rants like that. Where he was completely enamored. Begs the question, is Washington the best offense in the NFC? Purely just talking about the NFC. And is McLaurin ready for a top 10 fantasy finish? They're clicking he's wide receiver 18 right now. Depending on where you're looking and what rankings you're looking at. Your scoring settings, so on and so forth.
I mean, to be honest, I think for McLaurin, I think he's independent of the success of the Commanders because of how heavily this team leans on the run game between the quarterback and the running backs and the way they utilize them. There may be just certain games where it's just not necessary for him to take the shots. Now, in the shootout games, we're going to see McLaurin pop off. And I think we've seen that Jaden Daniels is a very accurate thrower of the football.
Last week wasn't a shootout.
You're right. Sometimes he's just going to get them. But overall, do I think he's going to be top 10? I mean, right now he's trending at 18.
That's a massive jump from where he was the previous week.
You're right, because he had a big
and
game.
And then the week before that, these are leaps.
You're right, but it's still early in the season. I'm just not sold on that yet. I'm not sold on top 10 receiver for McLaurin. I think he'll finish.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Because here's the other thing. They haven't made the first adjustment.
Let's do the exact same thing they did on the Rich Eisen show.
Uh-huh.
All right. Real life. Right now. Give me your list of quarterbacks that you're starting before Jaden Daniels.
See, that's a complete different conversation because of how well he's able to run the ball.
Give me your list, and even in fantasy, of who you're starting above Jaden Daniels.
I'll admit it. He's a top 2 play. He is a top 2 play. But that does not make Terry McLaurin automatic top 10 because he is that play. Because
we're talking about a finish. We're talking about a rest of the season finish for McLaurin.
Again, McLaurin and Daniels are two different things. Daniels could finish as the number 1 QB. Yes. McLaurin can finish outside the top 10. Yes.
I'm going on record right here, right now. McLaurin is finishing top 10.
I'll firmly take the opposite stance on that.
I have never.
Has he ever finished top 10?
Listen. In all my years of just purely fantasy football, remove the NFL side of my resume aside, purely just fantasy football analyst, I have never in 4 fucking weeks seen a receiver make the leaps and bounds with the consistency that they did it. This is about to be crazy.
To the comment section, what if they go and trade for Adams? Boom, all of a sudden, and this is a perfect team that should trade for Adams when you think about it.
We're gonna get into that topic. We are talking about this topic.
You're right, but with this specific team, I do think that they could be independent from one another because of that running dynamic for him at quarterback. And I think as far as offense is concerned, we've yet to see the full strength of the 49ers offense, which I still feel more confident in playoff and in grind situations. But again, this is still early season. As we know in the league, it's all about adjustments. And this kid has come into the league, and normally you have to adjust to the league, but the league now has to adjust to him. And I know there's a lot of great defensive coordinators out there that are going to start picking up on his tendencies, start seeing what he does. And now that they have some film on him and they can see what other guys have done, they're going to formulate some stuff.
There is picking up on fucking tendencies, and there is being the most accurate and deadly passer that the league has ever seen since 1972.
So this man just came in and he took everything that CJ Stroud and he cracked it out. And he's basically saying, like, I am past.
It's not just CJ Stroud.
No, I'm saying last year because CJ Stroud had the most historic passing rookie season.
He's doing things that Stroud didn't do his rookie year.
I know.
We thought that we were enamored at that.
That's my point.
He's doing things that Stroud didn't do.
And he had the best rookie quarterback
Brady didn't do. He's doing things that Manning didn't do. He's doing things, bro. When we think about the short list of, he's doing things that Mahomes didn't even do. The short list of quarterbacks.
Robbie, how many games is it?
In just 4 fucking games.
Okay, 4 games. 4 games. That's not a season. Let's see the adjustment.
You got to hear out that Rich Eisen rant. We have never, ever seen anything like this at all.
He's a creative player. Here's the speed and the accuracy that you basically want from a quarterback. He's like, it's like, you know what it is? Like if you know Dragon Ball Z, it's like the perfect fusion. It's like they got it right. They mixed the pocket passer with the scrambler.
I did not say that, Aiden.
You know, that's what he is. He's a pocket passer with a scrambler mixed together, and he's the perfect essential, like, prototype what you want out of a quarterback.
Amazing. Like, you know, hey, look, I'm just pointing it out there. McLaurin, top 10 finish. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I have never seen a guy like Jaden Daniels completing the highest percentage of passes. It's remarkable. Haven't been a whole year of Daniels, and Robbie's already put him in Mahomes, Allen, Lamar territory. I'm not doing it. I'm not putting him there.
From a fantasy football perspective, I'd rather have him than Mahomes because he runs the ball. This is not a game of who's better in real life. This is a game of fantasy football.
Hell, no, I'm putting both of the takes together in fantasy and real life. The stats are putting him there. He's putting himself there. He's putting him in those conversations.
He is, though. He is.
All that we're doing as media is we're reporting the fucking news. And I'm sorry, this is the news. Hate it or love it. It's not a glaze.
I mean, through 4 games, it is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you said it from what it is, through 4 games, it's the highest completion percentage ever. It's irrefutable. You cannot say anything other than yes, it's a fact because it is. So that's where we're at right now.
Absolutely. Like, look, Lee Thomas will pull his pants down already. Look, I am telling you the same truth that on every single sports show that you turned on, this is the first time in years of living to where Washington was covered about just football, and on every channel, on every network that I went, there was coverage about our team.
How about this? I got a better question for you.
Hold on, really quick. That's never happened.
How do you think Bears fans feel knowing that they passed on Jaden Daniels and you pass on Mahomes, you pass on Daniels.
Hey, they're really good at passing off. Like,
Oh
dude,
my
it's kind of
god!
like
You
no,
sitting there in purgatory, like we could have had him. We passed on him.
absolutely no. I agree with you. I agree with you. Neil asks, Addison, Wicks, or Kirk, all available. Pick one. Addison. The fact that Addison is even available is a crime.
I don't know. Kirk caught a touchdown last week, and I think that Lawrence knows he has to be. What?
You led that with Kirk caught a touchdown?
What?
You led that with Kirk caught a touchdown last week. Are you just that enamored with Christian Kirk that we're just going to ignore the numbers of what's real life?
I understand, but down the road, like you have Addison, you have Jefferson, and now you're adding TJ Hawkinson back to the mix shortly once he comes back from this injury.
And Addison was still producing with Hawkinson in the fold.
I'm not saying no, but I would say that Kirk is an interesting play with more volume opportunity. I feel like personally, I hate Lawrence. I hate Lawrence. I would take that shot right now just because he was more familiar, and they can't go down like this. I do think that Kirk is probably due for a blow-up breakout game, kind of like and do what you said with Lawrence, that he just drops or he'll come up in the rankings really quick because he'll have a blow-up game. I mean, they can't be that bad, right? Trevor Lawrence is not that bad.
Defending Trevor Lawrence,
he's not that bad, right?
I mean, not that.
He just got paid like the highest paid quarterback in history.
I don't think that he's making Kirk more relevant than Addison at this point.
I mean, I just don't trust it.
Let's see here. Daniels is how you play Madden.
Yeah,
no one is even that accurate in even Madden. Completion percentage is at 86.7%. Bro, what the fuck? This is breaking records. Exactly, bro. Look, this is not lazy. This is straight up truth. And even Tampa. This is including the Tampa game. People are like, oh well, bro, you're not okay. What I love so much is what Rich Eisen said about as a rookie quarterback, Jaden Daniels clearly forgot the memo of what you're not supposed to do. You're not supposed to put up these types of numbers for the organization, especially that you went to. You're not supposed to be getting these wins. You're not supposed to go back to back on the road and do that. As a rookie, we're talking about things that literally no one has ever done.
But for the record, I mean, you beat who? The Giants?
It's right here. It's posted on this damn screen.
The Bengals?
The Bengals are a damn good team. The Bengals are a damn
What's the Bengals record? What's the Bengals record?
Don't do that.
Well, no, men lie, women lie, but numbers don't lie.
Record does not matter.
Numbers don't lie.
Because if you go deeper into those numbers,
defense is playing like ass. If you look deeper,
into those numbers, no, it's the wide receiver room that's been really playing like fucking ass.
I mean, T. Higgins hasn't been there.
Exactly.
But they put up numbers in that game on the offense, so it wasn't an offense.
I fully expect Cincinnati to pick it up throughout the season. Do I think the Cincinnati makes the playoffs? No. Do I think Cincinnati wins a fuck ton of football games from here on out? Yes.
And do we think the Cardinals are something spectacular? Like
the Cardinals are a damn good team.
They're okay.
Damn good team.
They're okay.
They would.
Are they the worst team in the division? Yes.
They would fuck your Giants up.
Who said no? But we're nobodies. We're like the worst team in football.
The Cardinals typically hang in there with teams. They did not do that.
They're the worst team in the division.
I won't say that. Fuck no.
Who are they? The Rams are better than them.
The
Seahawks are better than them.
Not the hospitalized.
49ers are better than them.
The Rams fully healthy. The Rams fully healthy are better than them. I don't think
they're the worst team in the division.
I don't think the Seahawks are head over heels better than the Cardinals. Not right now.
3-1.
We're entering October football.
They're looking nasty.
We're entering October football.
Gino, come on now, put some respect on Gino's name. You did a little segment on him, but my man has been balling the fuck out.
Look, this man said it's Cowboys level glaze. Whatever. Y'all are just mad. Y'all are just mad. Devontae Adams has officially informed the Raiders he would like to be traded. News came today, middle of the day. We said that this was going to happen before Halloween. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we're right. All right. Where does Tay Adams end up? What's the best fit? Are you trading for him in fantasy, knowing there's a new destination looming? There's no destination yet. So we are only talking about right now in this situation. And if it is the Jets, though, we'll do this. If it's the Jets or even the Commanders, how does this affect Wilson or McLaurin? I feel like different situations, different receivers, so it affects them both differently.
I mean, Garrett Wilson. Oh my God! Talk about creating any value he has left. Because I mean, you're proposing that Lazard is the two no matter what.
Yeah,
so if Tay pops in, you know what I mean. All of a sudden, you're looking like, oh my God, it's like Garrett Wilson going to be almost unstartable. But I mean, right now we hope and pray. We hope and pray. You know, maybe Rodgers was just like not targeting him because of the weather and because of what happened. But at the end of the day, overall, they need to get on the same page. And Tay, I think, hopefully end up somewhere else other than with the Jets. But the tea leaves kind of point you in that direction of, because he was asked before too if he missed Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, they're trying to bait that situation and force or project that trade to New York. But I mean, someone brought up the Washington team. I think that's a very interesting move, but I don't know what the money looks like.
The money's there. That's the thing.
You can make the money work, right?
Yeah, that's so that I was gonna wait to completely finish, but
you guys are one of the
you just gave me the layup, so I'm just gonna take the layup right now. Washington has the funds available to make it happen. And I thought that we were just gonna wait till we see how far we could go this year, wait till next year, and see what can happen. But I think we figured out. We didn't figure out. We already knew what Adam Peters' mindset was. Heading into this was to make this team competitive as possible. If there's a shot at getting Devontae Adams, that makes us even more competitive than what we are right now. Then yes, you are right, Taco. Given the whole, if I'm Devontae Adams, I'm saying to myself, if I go to the Jets, am I repeating what I already just did by trying to chase my previous quarterback? See, Rodgers didn't leave the Packers with, like they still had Rodgers. Adams left, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was more so that he left the transition of going into Jordan Love. And I think that's a bad judgment on Adams, not looking at what that situation could have possibly ended up eventually being for him.
The Packers didn't want to pay him.
Huh?
I think the Packers didn't want to pay him.
Well, the Packers aren't big on paying receivers. That's not.
It didn't make sense with his age, his mileage, and where they were. Because look at their wide receiver room now.
Even still, that's just not their style.
They're a great franchise that understands. Like, I'd rather be out a year early than 2 years too late.
Exactly. You know what I mean? They just have a formula that they go by. And what his asking price didn't fit into that formula, that philosophy. Nope. So he reunites with, Carr in Vegas. That goes to shit. That's sour. Do you really want to try that experiment again by reuniting with Rodgers at 40-some years old?
I mean, I think that Washington move just makes like too much sense from the standpoint of I know you guys were in it for Ayuk, but I, and here again, I think this is another reason why it makes sense. Um, Jaden Daniels looks like a leader, like not just a quarterback. He is the guy. And
Yeah.
with that being said, to bring in a big personality like Adams, I mean, I think if you watch the press conference with Antonio Pierce, he was talking about guys making business decisions and dogging it out there. And then mystically, there's an injury for Adams and he's out. Now there's talk about like the tea leaves just keep, and then
I
all of
mean,
a sudden,
Pierce liked the post
yep, it
before
just kind of
yeah.
keeps, you know what I mean? So I mean, he's done there in Raiders. He's definitely out. The question is, where is he going to go? And I think from a commander standpoint, if it's only going to cost a second, I don't know how with the team that you have now, you don't take that leap of faith and
Send
then
over De'Ami
provide
Brown
for
in a
somebody.
second. Give him De'Ami Brown in a second. Boom.
Absolutely, especially because that depth behind Terry McLaurin is non-existent for the team. You guys were in it for Ayuk. I don't see the Browns, who were another team that was in the trade works, making sense. I don't see the Patriots, who were also in the Ayuk trade talks, or signing talks, making sense as well with the way that they're
Pittsburgh,
playing.
could Pittsburgh do something?
Pittsburgh is a very interesting player that I didn't think about. And much to your point with Fields, I picked him up and started him over Geno Smith last minute last week. So I got that in my lineup in a couple of different lineups, actually. And he has impressed me. Last week, he made a couple of throws that started to impress me. This week, he kind of put, like, they were down and they had to go into more of a go style offense, and he went. He was making some plays and some throws, and I don't see Wilson getting this job back. They've been
I
doing this just to give him face.
I don't like the Leafs. I don't like the KC narrative
I don't see them doing it
because
in
I
division.
don't see it
Yeah.
interdivision like that the hatred between the two teams runs so deep to where I don't
Although
see
if
it.
they did that, that shit is fucking crazy. And I mean,
Cowboys Cowboys
I,
can't afford Devontae. That's not going to
I'll
be a
say
thing.
this one thing. There is hope with Rice, and as the Rice, I have not lost hope yet. I'm sad, I'm depressed, but there is still hope. Until they say he's out, he's out. But we're holding on.
That's cute, Taco.
We're holding on.
Bally need wide receivers this week.
I Garrett
Going
Cole do
all
this to
in
me.
on Wicks on waivers. Do you prefer between Downs and who do you prefer between Downs and Wandell? Trying to get at least two of these guys, not Downs.
I will go one Dell from the
Anthony
standpoint of,
Richardson is going to be playing, so that hurts Downs' value.
particularly if you have a PPR league, Wandell has, I think, value because they almost use him as like in the short passing game as an extension of the run. So what that means to me is he might get like 6 catches for like 60 yards or some shit like that. 7 catches, which is like an absurd number of catches for like these short passing plays, but Daniel Jones doesn't really throw down far. So it's kind of like a cheat code for PPR because you're gonna get all those extra catches. So I like him actually
So
a lot.
Wicks and Wandell. Tacos. Should I trade Zach Moss, DJ Moore, and then DK and Garrett Wilson or London for Jay Jettis? Wait, should I trade Zach Moss, DJ Moore? Okay. So Zach Moss and DJ Moore, or either DK, Garrett Wilson, London for Jay Jettis. If you're trying to get Jay Jettis,
Unless it's a
um,
dynasty, I would do that.
if you're gonna try and get Jay Jettis, and you being 1-3, I would say that if we're doing the Zach Moss, DJ Moore thing, which
Yeah, well,
makes complete and total sense, is Garrett Wilson that I'm throwing into that fold.
yeah,
I'm trying to unload all of my pieces of uncertainty. DJ Moore is unhappy.
yeah,
Zach Moss is probably going to get outworked by Chase Brown at some point during the season, if not sooner rather than later.
yeah.
And
But
if these Devontae Adams rumors are becoming true and Garrett Wilson gets outworked, and already even without Devontae Adams, there's no chemistry there in New York, that's how I'm approaching that, and I'm trying to get rid of those pieces.
I'll say this though, like as much as I like to make a move, that might be a little too rich for my blood. Like that, you're talking about Moss, because even what you're saying, we can all think that the trend is for Brown, but this is a fucking crazy game.
It
Injuries
is.
happen out of nowhere. And to have a guy that does have that kind of volume at the running back position when you can have he's getting still goal line work, he's still getting touches.
The only way that Zach Moss is maintaining this, and we know this because we have enough long-term data on Zach Moss, is if something were to happen to Chase Brown.
I mean, he's a viable RB2 with the way everything has gone out.
He's a
RB2
viable
to
flex.
flex. I mean, but
He's a
that's a
viable
starter.
flex.
That like think about that. That's a starter.
If I'm getting rid of
who do you
those
have on your bench
pieces,
that you're getting rid of everyone and you're 1 and 3? Like, what the fuck are you starting?
if I'm getting rid of the waiver wire is loaded with so much upside, especially this week. We just discussed it.
I mean, you could be
He will
talking about
fine.
upside, but you're
He will
selling
be
out.
fine.
I just don't. I don't know, man. I think I'd rather stay than to sell out for Jay Jettis at that price.
It would be Jay Jettis and another depth piece.
Yeah, you got to get back, particularly a running back, some sort of running back, because running back.
In order to bring over Jay Jettis, you're going to have to do a 3-for-1, and maybe that person and like be like,
3-for-2 makes more sense with a little something on that other.
But 3-for-2 is in a perfect world.
Yeah, I wouldn't do the 3-for-1.
I would do the 3-for-1
because Caleb Williams can get right and DJ Moore can play like a wide receiver 1. This is 100% with you're talking about 2 potential wide receiver 1s here.
Probably not going to get right.
Probably not, but I mean, within the realm of possibility is him getting right. He's done it with worse quarterbacks.
I would rather Jay Jettis and a solid.
That's what I'm saying. I need to get another piece. I'm not.
Well, the person that assumes a trade is going to have to give up something else as just a throw in because they're not going to be able to
cut
the roster.
You have to cut somebody.
Exactly. Yeah. Somebody's going to have to get cut. So at that point, they might as well just throw the fuck in somebody.
Yeah, and if just traded Bijan and Jennings, yeah.
Adams, Shaheed, Olave, Kamara. Nobody stopped this. Adams is not going back to New Orleans. He's not reuniting.
I don't see New Orleans putting the capital in for that.
Ravens, because sunflower seeds fucking sucks. Ravens aren't.
They have no need for more wide receivers in that team because they have weapons.
Tommy Brown is fucking nasty. We don't want your ass. Look, you guys are the Raiders. You make dumb decisions anyways. Teams apparently in the wide receiver market: Jets, Ravens, Bills, Commanders, Chiefs, Dallas, Packers, Chargers, Saints, Steelers. As of reports that are right now, okay, I'm giving you like literally up to the up to the minute information. It is Jets and Commanders per Devontae Adams as his preferred destinations. That is from Adams per JPA, per Stadium. There's like a couple of different sources out there that are saying like this is where they're getting this information. Hey guys, looking for waiver wire help? Ask all in one show. Jacobs, Pollard, Ford, Gibbs, and Swift are my running backs. London, Flowers, Waddle, and Higgins are my wide receivers. So it sounds like Waddle's about to get dropped. Wicks, Chase, and Hunt. Wicks, Chase, Hunt, or Javonte are to pick up. So we're probably not going to go Javonte. That leaves us with the other 3. And I really would prefer if you could get Hunt because your next move if when Chubb comes back into the fold is probably bench Ford.
See, you're
or either Pollard would probably be benched or either dropped actually. And you keep Ford as a handcuff in the event that something were to ever happen to Chubb again. So I mean, it's really Hunt and Chase for me that are the only ones that I'm interested in your situation. If you can't get one, then you need to be going after the other.
I mean, I think that's Chase Brown. I mean,
yes,
I would do Chase Brown because again, for the end of the year, I do think that he ends up taking that job, and I do think that there's a chance Pacheco comes back, which complicates Hunt's long-term value. If you're looking long-term, I would say Chase. If you need the immediate, Hunt might have more juice immediately.
You already have Gibbs and Bijan. You're trading. Yeah. You're trading for Jay Jettis. Yeah. We got it. Yeah.
How many teams are in that league?
Currently 0-4, just traded Bijan and Jennings for Gibbs, Kittle, and Swift. I don't know if Swift is going to be sustainable, especially behind that offensive line.
I see it from the perspective of if you don't have a tight end, you're getting Kittle in there. Gibbs and Bijan, might equal out.
I
You're
think
still
that
high on
Jennings
the
is still
Jennings
going to
hype.
produce. I feel like Jennings is still going to produce, like, no matter what.
I don't know. I don't know. Week, you really think that you can start him?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
I
At least with bye weeks coming up, or with bye weeks happening, if I'm missing someone, like, I have no problem throwing Jennings in there, even with like the full weapons availability. Really quick, kind of oh my gosh, kind of getting back into the topic at hand. Look, I do personally believe I would love it if Tay ended up on the Commanders. I don't think that that's going to happen. I do think that he is going to end up with the Jets. If I'm Tay, I probably, am going through my head about, like, do I want to repeat the whole reunited with the quarterback thing? But maybe you do like a 1-year deal with the Jets, try and, figure it out. It's going to hurt Garrett Wilson's fantasy stock. It's going to hurt Garrett Wilson's fantasy stock. I think there's a greater chance of Adams becoming a Jet than there is a Commander. If he becomes a Commander, how I feel about it affecting Terry McLaurin, I think that makes Terry McLaurin now a 2 in that situation. But Adam Peters, I think, is wanting to see how this develops first before going all in. If the asking price is too high, he'll back out just like he did with the Ayuk situation. And that's just Peters as an individual. That's just how he operates as a GM. And the asking price is going to be high for Devontae Adams. So
the rumor is this as a 2nd round pick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're not doing that. Washington's not going to do that.
With that young team and this capability on this run, I don't know. That seems like in my opinion, at least, that doesn't seem like it's enough for me to stop giving the opportunity for this team to have
we have to look at trends, which is going to be a valid argument that I'm going to bring up here in the next topic. But looking at trends is just not a thing that Peters does. He's not going to go for broke for that. He's not going to mortgage the future for.
I don't think a second's mortgaging your future.
He's not doing it. Like, I'm letting you know right the fuck now, he's not doing it.
For a third, he would.
For a third, maybe it would become entertaining at that point. Really quick, when we were on TikTok live earlier, we did a lot of, I did a lot of Q&A. Many fantasy football managers find themselves concerned with running backs such as Zach Moss, Devon Chan, Chuba Hubbard, and of course that New York Jets tandem of Allen and Hall. All right. It seemed like every single question that I was getting was, do I trade for this person? Do I move this person? What do I do here? Yada, 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 et cetera, et cetera. Which situation worries you the most and why? And how are you navigating those waters?
I think the one that worries me the most for everyone is probably Chuba, because most people are starting to get in on him. But you got to remember Brooks is coming up, so don't start bailing out all your fab for Chuba, not realizing that Brooks is coming soon, which is going to eat into his volume. So that's a buyer beware, because he's probably going to be even more trendy on the ads. That's definitely one thing that I do want to make sure that we see here. We're just seeing in general the position has not delivered what we had hoped and what we had thought, particularly from two of the bigger and more illustrious backs in Bijan and Hall. I think both of those situations, you have to look at them as downgrades from what they originally were. They were drafted pretty much as the second and third running backs coming off the board. But I do think you have to move these guys down below Saquon Barkley, but below Alvin Kamara, below Kyron Williams, below even Aaron Jones, just from the way they're being used, from their production. Brian Robinson did have not Brian Robinson, Bijan Robinson did have the touchdown called back, but they're using Terry Algier enough where I don't feel comfortable or confident in Bijan. And he still has that name, and you can sell off that almost having that touchdown. But Bijan is someone that if I can sell off of right now, I would to acquire additional assets, because I don't think you're going to get the return that draft pick that you thought. And if you can double down and get some viable players that you can spread to cover some maybe holes, I think that makes sense. Similarly, I think that Brees Hall, while I don't think the full panic alarm is up,
It's
you definitely
approaching.
have stuff on the radar. You're definitely more worried than you are optimistic. And you have to, when you look at even what the local news reporters are saying, so it's not even like me saying it, it's, what these reporters are saying. He looks slow. He looks sluggish. He doesn't look like the same guy that it was last year. He's not making the same cuts. Allen is looking a lot more explosive. Allen is actually averaging more yards per carry. Allen is probably the most efficient running back right now in PFF. So it's a very interesting dynamic over there, where, you don't want to sell out, because Salah has already stated that he wants to give Hall the ball, and he did give Hall the ball on the goal line 4 times, and he couldn't convert. But I don't know if that's a sign of a harbinger of things to come, or if this was a blip in the radar, which is kind of very tough for Hall rosters.
So my approach with especially this question in particular, I'll start with a Chan first. Okay. Tua's going to be back right when you're going to be wishing that you had a Chan. It's 100% sounding like, according to Rappaport, according to Schefter, reports that I was seeing today, Tua's coming back. There's no signs of, as much as we all wanted to make the memes and people wanted to fucking pass around their messed up jokes, it doesn't sound like there was any neurological damage or anything during this particular, set of scans and so on and so forth. Despite what we believe as the viewing public, Tua's coming back. He's coming back healthy. He's going to finish up his stint on the IR, and he's bouncing back. He's going to be back out there with the boys. You could try and, get what you can. If you're trading a Chan right now in fantasy, you need to be getting a haul. You need to be getting a haul.
Or in the reverse end, if you're hunting for a player, buy him low, steal him.
Yeah. If you're looking for a Chan, and you're trying to get a Chan, you're only able to make one argument is, well, Tua's not there right now.
Yep.
The person that has a Chan is probably more than likely me. I'm sitting back, and if you're seeking a Chan, I'm like, you better be paying the price, because a Chan is still sufficient enough right now, even with backups or whatever. I get last night was last night. Everyone has a game. That's one thing also I can't stand with fantasy is my top 10 fucking player, my top 12 player, my top 24 player had a bad game, and I'm panicking now.
Hi, Garrett Wilson.
Huh?
I said hi, Garrett Wilson.
Garrett Wilson is in a completely fucked up different situation.
I'm panicking.
That's like, no. Yeah, no. Yeah. Garrett Wilson's in a different situation to where, like, the chemistry's not there. Lazard's getting out targeted, like, and then if Devontae comes over, that Garrett Wilson's not in this conversation.
I ain't gonna lie. If I could trade Garrett Wilson, I would.
Garrett Wilson's not and doesn't get to sit at this table during this talk. No, but like when we talk about players, like in a Chan, I mean, I've even started seeing some people like, what do I do with James Cook? I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, relax. It's a bad game. It's not a bad season. And I think that
No,
more and more people have to start understanding that with certain players.
listen.
I'm not saying that has to be a philosophy with all players, but there are certain players where it's like, stop
I,
doing it.
I'll be honest. I never believed in it. I had him last year. I don't believe in the touchdowns that they'll be there. He's played great. I just don't like he's a solid player.
That
I just don't believe that he'll get enough touchdowns in order to sustain. He got 3
this
touchdowns in one
this
game. That's how many he had for the last season. I
this is
just
a
don't believe in it.
what have you done for me lately business
I get
again,
you.
and also like if this is a what have you done
It's also a projecting business.
I understand that,
I would
but
sell high.
no,
Buy
I'm
high.
completely Chan. The only way you're getting rid of a Chan is so high.
Like I buy a chain and I sell Cook.
Zach Moss, if you can move him, do it. What
I'm
those offers are
neutral.
going to look like, they're going to look very mid. Don't be expecting top dollar. Don't be expecting to move him for top dollar unless you can really convince that other person. But Chase Brown is going to take over that position. Hubbard, we don't know what Jonathan Brooks is going to be yet. Miles Sanders is obviously going to be the odd man out in this situation. The practice window should have opened up this week for Jonathan Brooks. They haven't announced anything yet. They could announce something tomorrow. If the Panthers don't, I don't expect them to. I don't expect them to announce anything until next week about Jonathan Brooks coming off of the pup. And then should Jonathan Brooks come off the pup, there's still at most a 21-day window until they even allow him to touch a field. Okay. Same thing with Chubb, Hawkinson, and the like. They're all in that pup situation. And then in regards to the New York Jets, I wholeheartedly believe that rest of season both can be rosterable, both can be startable. Both are still going to produce what we expect out of them at this given moment. I think that Breece Hall is still a fine RB1, still a fine RB2. I'm not discounting Breece right now. I'm not panicking over Breece, and I'm not panicking that Allen is necessarily going to take over either. I think that this is going to be a timeshare to where we're going to see something like a Derrick Henry and a Justice Hill, and that's a great comp for it.
That's a panic. You're talking about now second round value from the guy you're drafting with the number 2 pick. That's a fucking fall off.
You could have easily grabbed either one. Still,
grabbed either one. You drafted all.
You have to realize that no running back right now is giving you what you drafted them for.
That's not true. Alvin Kamara and Saquon Barkley are sitting there like
Alvin Kamara is outperforming ADP.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But
okay,
I mean,
so give me another. Saquon Barkley. Saquon Barkley is the only one right now.
And then even Derrick Henry, he's still putting
Derrick Henry's outperforming ADP. Give me another.
Oh, okay. Jordan Mason.
Not even drafted. What the fuck? Outperforming ADP.
Okay.
Like motherfucker.
How about this? Kyren Williams. He's at least
outperforming ADP.
But that's it. Your running backs this year are even worse, or not worse, but it's even more diluted than usual.
No, the rankings just move around year in, year out. That's the name of the game.
It's not the rankings moving in and out. When you look at the total points here that you get from Kamara,
did you really heading into this year's fantasy season, did you really think that anyone was going to end exactly where they were or close to where they were last year?
No, but I was expecting significant more oomph from Breece Hall and Bijan Robinson. They are not.
Chase Brown on the waiver wire. Should I pick him up?
Yes.
If so, who should I drop? Javonte? No, Roshan. All right.
No, I keep Roshan.
Let me address this Roshan thing right now.
I keep him.
Okay. I'm fine with it being Roshan or Javonte, but let me address Roshan right now. Bears lied. The Bears fucking lied. And if there's any team that we can call right now the biggest liars to fantasy managers, it's the Bears. Before the season, oh, like, we've improved the offensive line, things are going to be so much better. Oh, like, we're bringing in DeAndre Swift for the running game, and it's going to help even, it's going to help Herbert and Roshan like even more, and yada yada yada. And then we're going to bring in Keenan Allen and Dunes, drafted Dunze, and all these things. Nothing has came to fruition. The Bears have not upheld a single fucking promise. And then they tell us last week, we're going to be bringing Roshan back in the fold. Expect a double dosage of Roshan. Fire up Roshan. They're telling us this. Roshan had 7 fucking carries. It was inefficient.
Listen, you can say everything you want.
They let DeAndre Swift get the same workload that DeAndre Swift was already getting, basically.
I mean, yeah, you could argue either way. Either way, Chase Brown needs to be in your team. Flip a coin.
That's what I'm saying. Chase Brown needs to be on your team, but you can drop either Javonte or Roshan, and you can sleep peaceful as fuck the next night or that night. Straight up. Men lie, women lie, Bears lie, we all lie. No, just the Bears. The Bears just lie more than all of us. Mixon will be fine. Joe Mixon will be fine. But Joe Mixon is a good trade move candidate because you can bring back value for Mixon. That's one thing that we did notice during the TikTok live today was that the people that were moving Mixon, a commonality that in a trend that that I was noticing was that they're moving Mixon and trying to bring back something of equal or more value. It's Mixon and something else to bring back more value. Mixon's one of those to where people will bite on it. You need to be equitable with it. Like, you need to be fair with it. Like, you can't include Mixon in some trash and expect top player. You can't be like Mixon straight up for your top player. Like, that's not going to be an equitable thing. This week it was interesting. We did talk about Anthony Richardson earlier, which brings up fantasy managers and Indianapolis Colts fans alike are singing the praises of Joe Flacco. Should the Colts start the vet over Anthony Richardson? Obviously, we already know that they are going to start AR. But big brain football moment here. What are your thoughts?
I mean, I just want to say I told you so. We were coming from this early before the season started, before big draft weekend happened. This was a jump beat that I had. It's all cool and all to have this. It's okay. So before I made the joke about the fusion being the perfect fusion, being Jaden Daniels, this is like when the fusion goes wrong and it's like fat Gotenks. Or skinny coating. That's Anthony Richardson. He got the speed part, but he didn't get the arm part. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, and this is no disrespect because he can develop into it. He's made some great throws, but as a consistent thrower of the football at the NFL level, he has yet to get there. Not saying that he won't get there. I'm just saying what we're seeing right now. Please don't take it as disrespect, but he's just not there in comparison to this young rookie who's Jaden Daniels, who is looking marvelous. Like, he's just looking like if Michael Vick and Peyton Manning had a baby. You know what I mean? This guy looks like right now. So it's like, all right, we're just gonna let it rock. So at this point in time, I understand where the fans are coming from. I think it makes sense, and I actually would do it. I do think that you probably need to put the kid on the bench for a little bit, let him work through some of the stuff, and see how Joe Flacco, because what Joe Flacco did last year for Cleveland took them to the playoffs or got them to that run. And he has a team here, which is probably going to be much like what we saw in Carolina, where it's like this team is better than it's showing under its current quarterback because he's not able to make those specific plays. He's not able to take command in the huddle and get your boys lined up, get you in time for the possession, get the play and get everything rolling while at the same time playing at a high level, which sometimes it takes a little bit longer to master for some players than others. And I think as at the quarterback position right now, I personally think that they should do it as the Colts. But there's a lot of he was the top pick and you can't do it. But these guys are breaking them because they're
Yeah,
not treating them right. And it doesn't hurt to pull them back and say, okay, let's fix some things. Let's go back to the drawing board. We still believe in you long term, but let Joe Flacco play and see. This is how a veteran plays. This is how you lead. This is how you make the passes. This is why he made that read in this situation. And then teach this kid so he can be able to come back. There's not enough teaching in this game. They're giving up on these guys too early. He's just not ready yet, and that's okay. But there's never that option in the football league, and I believe that this is a situation where he's just not ready yet, and it's time to put Joe Flacco back in and let him learn.
absolutely, absolutely. All I have to say is yes. I think that this should at least be under consideration. If should Richardson not perform this week against Jacksonville, then that definitely lets you know what you need to be doing moving forward. I do advocate for them playing Joe Flacco. It seemed that this week it opened up the passing game a little bit more than what we've seen throughout the duration of the season. And I would like to see this team be a little bit more well balanced. I think this team could actually win more football games with a more balanced approach versus just AR and Jonathan Taylor and yeah, the pass, like you said, the pass game hasn't been there either.
How about this? If Joe Flacco takes over, who has a better season, Joe Flacco or Andy Dalton?
Flacco for sure, Flacco for sure.
Conversation circa 20, like 19. Like, could you imagine this now? Man, like I tell you, the NFL, I feel like what they've done with their quarterback development is really being shown right now. And this is why these old vets who are so old are coming in and putting up numbers because some of these guys can't just make the basic understandings of this is what's going on. This is the defense is running. This is where my outlet's going to be. Maybe if I check this guy over here, I'll open that's what these vets can do, and that's what you're not seeing with some of these young kids.
No, I agree. I agree. You dropped Warren for Komet. Wild. Okay. Okay.
Wild. Although I gotta say, Patterson is looking nice, but wild.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, wild.
Life
See that
happens
the
real
chat's
fast.
agreeing with us. The chat still agree with us. Yeah, I don't think that AR necessarily sucks at football,
Yep.
but I think that there's still a lot of
I just
balls
think
there
he was
as
not worth that ADP with him being like the thing about Daniels is you was getting him at like the end of the draft. So the risk on him wasn't as great for him to turn out like this. Is like when you find gold. This is like when you were drafting Mahomes a couple of years and he was able to deliver. I think it's especially in one QB leagues now, first person drafting a quarterback loses. Like, that's kind of the new game.
Yeah, yeah. 5th round pick, y'all are nuts. Yeah, like I said, I was not paying that price. I said it during the off season. I was not paying that
Nope.
price. A lot of people still chose to go ahead and pay that price. I mean,
Yep.
and hey, that's up to you. You got
We'll take Pickens. You could take AR.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't make that move. I mean, I made different moves, instead of AR. But yeah, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Show love to the content. If you have not already. I want to ask. Okay, I want to ask. It's our weekly question. Who's your drop of the week? Who are you adding? Who's walking a thin line of getting traded or dropped? Instead of who you're adding, Like, well, no, let's leave who you're adding at. Who you're gonna drop and who are you adding?
All right, so I think Gus Edwards at this point might be droppable, especially
Yeah,
in PPR leagues.
yeah.
Um, I think that I'm pretty adamant in this new drum beat that I'm having here. I'm adding Estime. I'm stashing him now. I think that eventually he's going to play out and get that role. But while he's in IR stash, I am putting him on as many rosters as I can where I can use my quote unquote flexibility to roster more running backs than I really should. Because that's the name of this fucking game. Because people are going to get hurt and they're just going to slide him back in. He has a tremendous upside. They would use a draft pick on him. I know Robbie was hyping him earlier in the season. That's how some of these guys come on my radar. And then when you look at, hey, Peyton drafted him, these other guys aren't producing. We'll get to the end of the year. They're not that good. You want to see what you have in a kid. Next thing you know, you have a garbage time superstar that you have waiting on your IR that you pulled up at the end. That could be very viable. I mean, we've finished the first quarter, so now we need to start thinking long term, strategically planning ourselves, especially our 3-1, 4-0 teams. We need to start making sure that we're gaining as many assets as possible to weather the storms that are coming.
Mm.
And then who's walking a thin line? I mean, I think Garrett Wilson has had his thing brought up enough times, but I'll bring him up again. Garrett Wilson is really kind of stressing me out. There's no way you can drop him. If you can trade him, I think you have to look at what you're getting. It could be depressed value because, again, they could figure it out. You don't know. You just don't know, and that's what's the scary part about this particular situation is this was offensive player of the year. I mean, offensive rookie of the year when he came out. He's a super talented wide receiver. So you just and there's technically Alan Lazard there. Like, come on, man. Like he should be able to play over him. So eventually we assume things should go right and he should boom, but as of right now, he's borderline like wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. With that position. But yeah, that's kind of it for me with those.
Okay. Okay. Trevor asks, should I trade Trevor Walker for AJ Brown? It depends on your situation. Give us more context. If you need a receiver, yes. And if you have the running back depth to afford it, yes. But if not, no. You have Brian Robinson, Gibbs, and J.K. Dobbins, then sure, I would go ahead and make that move. Wilson gets locked up by corners every week. I'm dead. Josh Allen's worthwhile pick. Besides Allen, Lamar, and Daniels, not many QBs have been good. I can agree with that. Who is my drop of the week? For me, I'm going ahead and I'm being done with the Jalen Warren experiment in exchange for Chase Brown. Um, yes, could I talk about, go out there and get Bucky Irving, go out there and get Brees Hall? I did that enough last week. This week is about Chase Brown. So that's the move that I'm making. Warren for Brown or either Gibson for Brown. Those are the moves that I am willing to make. It's not necessarily that I feel like it's Najee's backfield. It's just that I'm over it. In all honesty, like I mean, if you're able to keep Warren and drop like a Gibson, fine. That's a situation that I was in, but either way, Chase Brown, and if not Chase Brown, then Justice Hill for damn sure, because Justice Hill has been having himself like a very silent, good fantasy football season. Wide receivers, I have Nico Wilson, Evans at wide receiver. I mean, you're not really in a like unless like your record is bad, which I with that roster, it doesn't sound like your record is bad. You don't have to make the move, but I mean, if you want to make the move and bring AJ Brown over with, to have an even stronger receiving core, especially because Wilson has been dog shit, then yes. But I mean, because Wilson's been dog shit, you can easily flex one of those running backs as well and spare yourself. But Wilson should be gone off that team, though. But if you're not going to get rid of Wilson, if they're not going to take Wilson for AJ Brown, then yeah, Trevor, that's what you need to be doing is the Walker for AJ Brown. They'll sit on that. They'll take that more than likely. Let's see here. And then who's on the thin line of being traded or dropped for me? Yeah, I mean it's pretty much the same thing. Same thing for me. What that Taco said about the trade or drop. You need to be looking at the whole Garrett Wilson situation. Even if Devontae Adams doesn't come to that team, that chemistry is taking way too long to materialize. And in all honesty, it shouldn't. It shouldn't take this long. So I'm kind of fed up and I'm frustrated with that. Also, Zay Flowers, I'm willing to trade away as well. Because yeah, that Ravens passing game ain't it. The final question of the night. Biggest overreaction from week 4. Bold take for week 5.
My biggest overreaction is the Chiefs better figure something out after what just happened there. That's going to be very interesting. And Pat Mahomes may not be in one QB league startable for the foreseeable future. I'm not saying anything about the Chiefs, but in one QB leagues, it's going to be very hard to justify starting him. And Justin Fields might be a real guy that you want to play. All right, but I got to go, guys. I'll be right back. I'll see you guys later.
Appreciate you. All righty. And then for me, my biggest overreaction of week 4, my biggest overreaction is I won't necessarily say overreaction to counteract Taco's point there, closing out the show. The Chiefs, they always figure things out. And they will figure things out. So my bold take will be that Xavier Worthy is going to have a big, huge week. Xavier Worthy is going to explode. Xavier Worthy is going to go off. Xavier Worthy is a must start. 53% of rosters have Xavier Worthy in the starting spot right now, in a starting role of some sort right now. Whether it's flex, whether it's your wide receiver, he needs to be in rosters because he's going to go nuclear. Also, let's stop overhyping Carolina and acting like they're back. I feel like that's just preposterous. As far as our overreaction, I think that it's not an overreaction that I'm having. I think that everyone's overreacting over Achane. I really, really do think that everyone's overreacting over Achane. It's a bad game. Not a bad fantasy football season. So all is well and ends well, and it'll be okay. You still believe the Jags will get a win? That's a good one. I like that, actually. The Jags are in a situation where they possibly could win. Nobody wants Garrett Wilson right now because they're waiting to figure out what happens with Devontae Adams. Nick Sirianni is fucking useless, and he relies on his coordinators to do the work. The year they made the Super Bowl is Gannon and Steichen, and now Kellen Moore and Fangio. This is very, 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 very valid point. Very, 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 very valid point. Leaves Kellen Moore has the highest motion rate in the NFL last 2 years. They have the second lowest. Sirianni is being a terrorist to him. I am dead. But no. Also, another thing before we get out of here, why are 43% of you still rostering Gabe Davis? Please let go of Gabe Davis. It might be a little bit lower than that right about now, but last time I looked at the data, it was around 43%. There's no need to have Gabe Davis. You can let go of Gabe Davis. So yeah, those are 2 big points that I kind of wanted to end the show with is start Xavier Worthy. Only 53% of you are doing it. More people do it, especially now with the Rice injury. And 43% of you are still rostering Gabe Davis. He's droppable. You can let him go. You don't need him. And other than that, cheers to me. Cheers to you. All the Rum Boys and girls, what it do. We love you. We appreciate you. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for tuning into the Goal Line Goons, and we'll catch y'all later. Peace.
Preaching on it, yeah.